The gate agent smiled as she scanned the boarding passes, unaware that in less than 10 minutes this ordinary morning flight would become the moment everyone on board would remember for the rest of their lives. Captain Renee Ashworth walked through the jet bridge in her pressed Navy uniform, 4 gold stripes gleaming on each shoulder. She carried her flight bag the same way she always did, calm, quiet, focused. She had flown for 18 years. She had crossed oceans in storms that grounded lesser pilots. Yet every single time she stepped onto a new aircraft, she braced herself for the same look, the narrowed eyes, the quick glance at her skin before her stripes. The silent question that never needed to be spoken out loud. Today, that question came from a flight attendant named Brooke Whitman. Brooke had been with the airline for 6 years. She was efficient, sharp with passengers, and utterly convinced she understood exactly who belonged where on an aircraft. When she saw Renee settling into the left seat of the cockpit, adjusting the headset, reviewing the flight plan on her tablet, Brooke did not see a captain. She saw someone she assumed had wandered in by mistake. "Excuse me," Brooke said, stepping into the cockpit doorway with her arms crossed. "You need to get out of here right now. This area is for flight crew only." Renee did not look up right away. She had heard variations of this sentence more times than she could count. She finished typing a note into her flight log, then met Brooke's eyes with a steady, practiced calm. "I am the flight crew," Renee said simply. Brooke let out a short, disbelieving laugh. "I don't think so. I've worked this route for years. I know our pilots. Please step out before I call the gate supervisor." Passengers near the front row shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension building in a space meant to be invisible to them. A young girl traveling with her grandmother peeked down the aisle, wide-eyed, sensing something was wrong even if she could not name it. Then the first officer, Daniel Reyes, stepped into the cockpit from behind Brooke, his expression tightening the moment he understood what was happening. "Brooke," he said quietly, "that is Captain Ashworth. She is in command of this flight." Brooke's confidence flickered but did not fully break. "There must be a mix-up. I was told the captain today was someone else." Daniel exchanged a brief look with Renee, the kind of look shared by two people who had worked together long enough to trust each other completely. "There is no mix-up," Daniel said, "and there is something else you should know." He paused, letting the words settle before he continued. "She's not just our captain today, she owns this airline." The words landed like a sudden change in cabin pressure. Brooke's mouth opened, then closed. Passengers who had overheard began exchanging stunned glances. A man in seat 2 lowered his phone, his eyes wide with disbelief. Renee exhaled slowly. This was not a moment she enjoyed. She had built Ashworth Regional Airways from a single leased aircraft 12 years earlier after watching her own father, a gifted and decorated pilot, get passed over for promotions again and again despite flawless performance reviews. She remembered the nights he came home quiet, saying nothing, carrying a disappointment too heavy for words. She swore then that if she ever had the power to change how people were treated in this industry, she would use it without hesitation. She still flew active routes herself, not for publicity, but because she wanted to know firsthand how her crews treated the passengers and each other when they believed no one important was watching. "I fly this route once a month," Renee said gently to Brooke. "Not to test anyone, just to remember why I started this company." Brooke's composure crumbled entirely. Tears welled in her eyes as the weight of her assumptions settled over her. "Captain Ashworth, I am so sorry. I judged you the second I saw you. I never even considered." "I know," Renee said. "That is exactly the problem I am trying to solve." She did not raise her voice. She did not demand an apology or make a scene. Instead, she reached for the intercom and addressed the cabin with the same steady tone she used during turbulence. "Good morning, everyone. This is your captain speaking. We are cleared for departure and expect a smooth flight today. Thank you for your patience and thank you for flying with us." The engines hummed to life. The aircraft pushed back from the gate, climbing into a clear morning sky, steady and sure despite the storm that had just passed through the cockpit doorway. Later that day, after landing safely, Renee asked to speak with Brooke privately. She did not fire her. Instead, she offered her a choice, a formal review process focused on unconscious bias and inclusion, something Renee herself had helped design after years of experiencing that same bias firsthand. "I am not interested in punishing you," Renee told her. I am interested in making sure the next captain who looks like me never has to hear those words again." Brooke nodded, humbled in a way she had never expected to be. Months later, she would become one of the loudest advocates for the very training program she once needed most. Renee never told this story publicly. She did not need credit. She simply kept flying, kept building, and kept proving, one quiet flight at a time, that leadership does not always look the way people expect it to. Sometimes the person you almost dismissed is the very reason you still have a seat on the plane.